So hello everyone, nice to see you all here connected. I hope this webinar will be useful for you and you will learn something new. Maybe I also will learn something new. So my name is Marius and I am a system integrator here at Softneta, and today we will talk about two topics, rebranding and security. So let's see a short agenda for this webinar. So we will talk about the rebranding types. We will see how in MedDream you could change the logos, how you could change the theme color, some information in about Windows box. Also, we will talk about Viewport API rebranding, and then we will jump to another part where we will talk about the secure MedDream integration installation first, of course, then how to set the correct permissions and restrictions for the MedDream DICOM Viewer, and how to set up a SSL certificate so the MedDream would run on.
Vou entrar aqui numa sessão online.
Also the iFrame integration and the secure integration of MedDream Viewer using token integration. So first, let's talk about the MedDream rebranding. Maybe some of you know, some of you don't. It is possible in some ways to rebrand your out-of-the-box MedDream with some different logos, colors, and other information. If we would check here on the left side, so if you are already using MedDream DICOM Viewer, so this window is familiar to you. This is the main login window, and as you can see, it comes by default with the MedDream Softneta logo, which actually can be changed to your company, to your partner logo, or to hospital logo, or any other logo you would like. The next part where logo is displayed in the MedDream Viewer is the viewing part, where you or doctor or wherever is using the MedDream opens the specific study for viewing, for measuring, and for doing other manipulations. So it's also, we have this MedDream Viewer logo here, which, as you can see, also can be changed with your own logo and be displayed here. And also, as you notice, the color of the login button, the color of the all toolbars, information about the type of images also would reflect and change color. The next part and the big part is the about box in the MedDream Viewer. So if I will open the MedDream Viewer on my computer, this is just a demo installation. So as you can see, if we click on settings and about, we would get this about box. So some information here could be changed. So the logo and the system name could be changed. Other information is required to be left as it is, because it is related to the certification of MedDream, as it is certified for the medical usage. And important thing about distributor and end user, so this information actually comes from the license file. So when you buy MedDream licenses, you install, so this end user and distributor will be taken from your license file. So what information you provide, it will be provided here, and only in our end it could be it could be changed, but the logo and the system name could be changed on your end by configuring some parameters, which I will show you soon. So for the logos, basically, as you see, there is a logo for the login window, logo for the viewing window, and the company logo for the about box. So these are quite easy to change. Here is some information how to do it. So basically, what you want to do is to create a transparent logo file. In general, it is most popular to have PNG format, and each logo type, either for login or view part, is a little bit different in recommended size, because there is a wider or shorter white where the image is displayed, where the logo is displayed. So we would recommend to use not greater than this size for when you are creating the logo. So for example, if you want to change the logo for the login window, you want to create a transparent logo file with transparent background. So you do not get this, square around your logo compared to the background of the MedDream Viewer color. And the size should be up to 270 and wide and 50 pixels height. And basically, you would save this file as loginlogo.png, and you copy it to the default MedDream installation, or maybe you would install in different place, but by default, MedDream would install in CMD pack MedDream. So you would go to the rebranding folder and just copy paste the logo file and refresh your browser, of course deleting the cache of the browser, and it could be changed. So if you just give me one moment, I will show you how it is done. So we have here the standard logo, and if we would come back here to the MedDream Viewer, let's say the login window, so we have this standard MedDream logo here, and if we would copy the rebranded logo, login logo, and we would paste it to the rebranding folder where the MedDream is installed. To not paste, let me see. Copy paste. We replace it. And if we will refresh and clear our browser cache, so we would get a different logo, rebranded logo. So basically, the same thing is done with the login window logo file. The same can be done with the logo which is displayed in the viewer window when you are viewing a study. Just to check here that the dimensions of the viewer logo recommended size of the logo is different compared to login window size. But all this information I'm talking to you, I'm telling you, it is available in our MedDream installation manual. So whenever you want to do this, you can open our installation manual, and you will find the section rebranding, and you will find all these parameters for the logo sizes. And the last is the company logo, which is displayed in the about box. So also, as discussed, it is important to check the recommended size and make a logo as it is, make it company logo.png and put it to the branding. So doing this, I would say, allows you to, if you have, for example, already working environment or even the test environment, which maybe other colleagues are doing. So as you saw, I just changed the logo and I didn't need to restart the MedDream service, so it was not interrupted by the MedDream service restart or by server restart or whatever. So by changing the logos in this way, you would ensure that the MedDream will work, and you always can replace the logo to the previous one, and there will be no let's say breaks in the MedDream workflow. So we talked about the logos, different logos, but as you saw, it is possible to have some other color for the MedDream theme. Also, as I mentioned, to change the system name, which would actually be displayed in different parts. So it would be displayed in the About box. It would be displayed in the search results at the bottom, and it would be displayed in the login window. So when you go to the MedDream login window, you will see this information here. So this it would be by default MedDream, but it can be changed in rebranding JSON to the system name would be shown here. So all these things it can be changed in the rebranding configuration JSON file, which can be found in the same rebranding folder where the MedDream is installed. So as I mentioned, you can change the logo file names, you can change the theme color and the system name. But doing these changes will require to restart MedDream service in order to see the changes, and of course to clear the cache of the browser. And if you are still using previous versions, which we really don't recommend, we suggest to update to our newest versions. So, but still, if you are old school and like 7.8 or even older versions, so by default the rebranding was not enabled for this. So if you would like to try it and to change something here, so you need to contact our support or sales team and to have this rebranding possibility enabled for your license. But we would strongly recommend to update, of course. This is the example of rebranding JSON. It's a minimized version with the actual values which you can change, because in the manual you will see a little bit longer, but as MedDream is a certified product, it will not allow you to simply change the required values for the certification and other parts. So as you can see, the system name can be changed in the system name field. So you just put the value. Also, for changing logos, if you do not want to use the same file names, you could change the file name, put the file in the rebranding folder, and it would reflect changes after a start. Also, if you are using MedDream, but maybe red color is not good for you, not suitable to your company brand book or to hospital or to partner brand book. So we have a few other colors to offer. So we have standard red color, we have blue color, orange, and green. So basically, if you would like to change the theme color, instead of red, you would write a different value, one of these four, and this theme would be loaded, of course, after restarting MedDream and clearing the cache of your browser. So you could have, for example, MedDream running in a light green color, as you saw in my print screens. If we talk about the viewport, I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with our Viewport API, but basically it is possible, and some partners use only our viewport. So basically, you would be getting only the black part of the MedDream, which displays the images. All the thumbnails, all the toolbars at the top will not be available, and you would need to implement to your application by yourself. So if you want to read more about this Viewport API, so just follow this link. It will be sent later in the presentation, so you will find it and in the video. Here you can find information with the full documentation of our Viewport API, also examples how to run a demo Viewport API on Docker or on Windows, so you can try to install it. Just let us know, and we will provide you NPM token, which will be required to install Viewport API. So if you want to try it, you can do it by going here and checking the information. Just one important thing, yes, so you would get such viewport, and you would need to implement all the measurements and everything by yourself. If you would plan to use the viewport integrated in your system, and you would like it to have a certified MedDream viewport, so the About window, this part should be also implemented in your application, so that all the certificates and all the required information would be accessible for all users. So this is a very important if you would implement viewport and would like to have it MedDream viewport certified. So this was the things about the rebranding, and now is the second part, a little longer, I suppose, or maybe not, about the MedDream security, about the secure installation of MedDream, configuration, and all things related to it. So, of course, it's not a new thing, but it's always recommended to use the newest version of MedDream Viewer. And as you maybe saw, we actually just released the 8.0 version. And as Renata mentioned, next week we will, Vytautas will do the presentations about the new functionalities. So we really invite you to join this webinar also. To see what's new in the newest version, and of course we encourage you to update it for sure if you are still using the older version, because from the release date for the critical support and security fixes, basically it is supported for 1 year period, just to ensure the integrability, reliability, and the security. And if you would have questions how to update, or you would need an assistance, so just let us know and contact our support team, and we will help you or guide you how to do the update. But it is pretty straightforward. Of course, if we talk about the MedDream installation and the server environment and all these things, so operating system where you are installing MedDream also should be up to date with the latest security patches, latest updates. It needs to have a latest Java 8 version with all the security patches, of course. Also, it would be wise, and it is a good practice to open only those ports which are actually necessary for you. So, for example, if you are running MedDream on HTTP or HTTPS, so open only these ports. If you have a DICOM listener, so open port 1116, or if you use another port, open another one. Of course, if you have a PAX or any other applications running, so open these ports, but only these which are necessary and needed for your applications. And for the files, you should also limit the permissions. So, for example, in Linux to have for files 775 and for directory 664 permissions. So other users wouldn't be able to manipulate the files and directories here. And also when you run, for example, the MedDream service, for example, on Linux, so it is really not recommended just to run the service, you know, on the root or administrator in the Windows part. So it's better to have a separate user for this. Here is some settings which are related to content security policies, to the headers, to the cookies. This I'm not going to explain one by one, but this can be found in our installation manual. So all these settings are taken from that part, and these are security related settings. So you can use them. Also, other things to mention is for the session timeout. So it is recommended to set a reasonable duration for this for system timeout. Also, if you run a production server, so it is recommended not to use authentication manager or ports or use the in memory or users and all this information, all these let's say settings, which sometimes could be accessed from the internet, from the outside or through the network, and sometimes you do not think about it. But it is quite important that if it is even in the testing phase, you know, but it is accessible through large networks. So consider disabling and changing all this information. When we talk about the installation of the MedDream, so for the sake of, let's say, easier installation and easier testing, MedDream out of the box, it will be installed with the demo user. So as you can see, it will have this in-memory username demo and password demo. And as you saw when I shared my screen of MedDream installation, I also used this, but it's just because this is my isolated computer. so that's why. But if you are going online, so of course it is you cannot live like this, even if you are using in your local network while testing. So so all these users should be changed. So not demo, but you should create a strong username and a very strong password, at least 12 characters of upper lower cases, numbers, some special characters for the password. And if for some case you would be creating multiple in-memory users, which are really not recommended, but for some cases you might need it. So also always think about these users and remove or add this special admin role only for these users which actually need it. So for example, for the user who will create let's say hanging protocols, who will do all the settings, because if you have this admin role in the MedDream, you will be able to access the settings, and in the settings you will be able to do manipulations to hide or delete some buttons for measuring and other functionalities. You will be able to, for example, delete hanging protocols and everything. So just if the user doesn't need to have such capabilities, so remove this admin role from his permissions, so he will not be able to access the settings part and screw the things up. Also, when setting up a secure MedDream installation, you should always think what users, not only in memory users, but in general, what all users who will open the study by logging in or by using relay integration, for example, what they should or should not access. So, for example, can they view a report? Can they check the patient history? Can they export a study? And all these considerations should be think through, you know, and according to this, MedDream should be configured. Because, for example, a simple scenario, you would use the URL integration, and you would pass, for example, a study UID. And the user would be able to click it and open the specific study for that study UID. However, for example, you would forget to disable a patient history setting. This means that then the user opens the specific study. He will have this small patient history icon here, and if he would click it, he would actually see all the studies for this particular patient. So sometimes you don't want to have this functionality, and you think I will make a study integration by study UID, and that's it. But if you would forget to remove patient history from the permissions from the system JSON, so this information could be visible, and maybe some doctors or some other users might not doesn't need to see other studies for that patient, only that particular one. So this is a quite important thing to check, and regarding with all other permissions, which there is a lot, and all of them are explained in the installation manual, what all these permissions and roles do. Also, we have quite a lot of information actually in our installation manual regarding the secure installation of MedDream. So the security considerations on the page 84, and also relevant IT security requirements on page 89, sorry. So I'd really would recommend to go through these sections in our manual, because they dive even more deeply, you know, by the, for example, what is the recommended, let's say, security configuration for Apache, for the MySQL, for PHP, for the for cookies, for security headers, and all this. So, but this is quite a lot of information, and I couldn't add all it to the slides, because it would be like 200 slides, and we all would get bored, you know, going through all of them. So I just put it here, so you can check these security considerations and relevant IT requirements on these pages, and you would find even more information about this in here. Also, when you already run MedDream, when you install it and it is run already on the doctor or computers in the clinic, in the hospital, or whatever, so we also have this IT security measures section, but it is in user manual. So it would describe what the actions need to be taken by the user, so not to leave the browser open, and not to leave the MedDream logged in, and all this information for secure, let's say, workplace, so that there would be no unauthorized access. So this is also quite important, and there is, if I remember correctly, like 2 or 5 pages of the information. So also I couldn't, you know, put everything here on the slide. So you can always check this page for when you already are using MedDream. So you would have this done in the secure and correct way. When you will install MedDream, so by default, it will be installed without the SSL certificate. Just again, also, it will be easier for you just to try it. But when you will be testing, or when you will plan to go on production, it is recommended to have the SSL certificate and to configure MedDream to use it. So for the certificates, we recommend to use P12 or Java key store formats and add them to the desired location. By default, let's say it could be the path where the MedDream is installed, and you would need to add these settings to the MedDream application properties with the path where the actual certificate is stored, the password, the alias, which usually is the host name, or sometimes it could be different, but need to have the correct alias, and of course the port 443, which is the default port for HTTPS. So once you test it, so we really recommend to use even for the testing, if you have an option to have the SSL certificate, so we would recommend to go with it, configure it, and if you will have any questions or issues, so just let us know, contact our support, and we will be ready to help you on this configuration. Also, if we talk about the security with the SSL certificate, some clients wants to integrate MedDream Viewer and in the iFrame. So show on their web applications, on their websites, the iFrame with the specific study for the MedDream Viewer. So as time goes and the browsers keep let's say more secure and secure, there is a lot of security policies, cross-origin resources sharing policies, and all these things. So basically, you would eventually need to have the SSL certificate for the MedDream and SSL certificate for your web application in which you would like to share the MedDream, because otherwise the browser security will not allow you to embed MedDream into your web application. So SSL certificates will be necessary for you, and once you have it in place, and if you want to have the iFrame integration, you would also need to have some additional settings in MedDream application settings, where you would provide the host name or the IP address of your web application from which you are planning to embed the iFrame, and then you could have it embedded, and it will be displayed without any problems, even with the URL integration by token or simple URL integration. And again, if you will have any questions regarding this, so just let us know, and we can connect and configure everything together. And this is how, it would be displayed in your application. I think maybe even you saw in our Softneta website. So if you go to softneta.com and click online demo, you could see the iFrame example here. So it is possible to have such iFrame in your application as well with the correct configuration. And if we are talking about the integration of the MedDream Viewer, about the secure integration, so the only way to have the secure integration is to use the token-enabled integration, which would consist of the MedDream Viewer itself and additional service, which is called MedDream Token Service. Just for now, as I might forget later. If you are advanced user and you do not want to use, for example, MedDream token service for some reasons, it is possible for you to develop your own token service. Just you need to implement the generate and validation endpoints where the token could be generated and validated. So this is also the possibility. But of course, the easier way would be go with the MedDream token service, which actually comes with the when you install MedDream or when you download the zip file. So token service will be there. It just won't be installed, but it is pretty straightforward installation. So what this token enabled integration do? So you would have the secure URL integration where your link to the specific study would be your MedDream URL, question mark token, and this security generated token. So this token cannot be reused. It cannot be guessed, you know, because it's like more than 100 characters long, and it has the expiry time and all these other settings. So this is the secure way of doing the URL integration if you plan to have it, for example, HIS, and you want to open the studies from HIS. So the only way to do it, the correct way, would be a secure way to use token enabled integration if we talk about the URL integrations. Here I put some, let's say, advantages of the token enabled integration. So basically, with this integration, you would be able to configure or control who can generate token, meaning that you can set in the application properties of the token service from which IP addresses or IP ranges the generate endpoint can be called or the validate endpoint can be called. So no other services could call, for example, for a token. Also, in your HIS or your application, you would be able to control who can access which study. So meaning that you would send only the token request only when the user actually can access the study, can access this data. Also, it is possible to configure how long token will be valid. By default, when you install it, it will be valid for 2 or 3 minutes, if I remember correctly. And you can make it this time shorter or make it longer, or you can make it, for example, only one time valid, meaning that the user clicks on the link, it opens the study. But if the user would try somehow to copy paste the same URL, try to open again, it would tell that the token is already expired because it would be used already for one time. Also, using tokens, it is possible to use multiple packs, which cannot be done using standard URL integration when you would pass a study UID or accession number or patient ID. So with multiple pack support, you can have multiple packs as added, configured to your MedDream. And when sending for token request, you would simply provide from which storage you want to get, from which packs you want to get that specific study. And also very important thing that for each token request, you can provide different permissions. So for example, if the exam is opened by the doctor, for example, or by patients, so you could, for example, allow or disallow to use 3D, to use bounding boxes, to use some measurements, to have the forward or download possibility. So all these permissions which are you setting in the application properties actually can be also set when you are sending a token. So different permissions can be sent with different requests according to the user for which you are sending this request. This is just a brief scheme how the token service works. So your information system would call the token generate endpoint by sending the JSON structure. You would get a token, and you would form the URL with this token and try to open MedDream Viewer. MedDream Viewer then validates the token, and if it is valid, it will open that specific study for you. So if we would check the simple JSON structure, which can be sent to the token service for generating a token. So as you can see, you can provide the study UID, the storage ID, and you can load also, of course, multiple studies with the same token request. So you can provide which study you want to load from which packs. And as you see, we have this permission setting. So here you can put all the permissions which you want for this token. And then the study will be opened with this token. It will take the permissions from there, and it will be applied, and not the ones which are in application properties of MedDream, but for the properties, for the permissions which are here in the permission section of the JSON structure. So I don't know how many of you tried this token enabled integrations. Maybe for some of you it's very scary, but it's not, trust me. And if you want to read more, so check our also installation and integration guide, and check the integrations via URL. Here we have all the documentation with the workflow, with the examples, so you can always check it. And of course, you can always ask for our integration team to get in touch with you, and we can help you to configure the token service, and you could try it and implement in your application as well. So it's 46 minutes. I thought it will be 40 minutes. So 6 minutes longer. So let's sum up this what we talked today. So the MedDream can be rebranded. We can change the logos. We can change theme color. We can change the system name in About window. And if you want to rebrand Viewport API and still to have it certified, you need to add this About box in place. You need to integrate it. And when you install and configure MedDream, so taking into considerations all these roles and permissions, and leave only the roles which are actually needed. It's better, I would say, to have fewer and then add than to have broader, you know, and then making it lower. And when you install it, don't forget to disable, or if you will not disable, so at least change the demo user, the password and the username for the security, and also follow other security recommendations, which was mentioned in the slides. There is a sections for this in the installation manual. Also, when you will be using MedDream, so do not forget to configure and use the secure connection. So configure and use SSL. And if you are planning to use the integration, so we really recommend to use the token enabled integration, which as you saw, has much more functionalities and you could control much more things, and it is much more secure. So if you have any questions regarding this installation or configuration later, so you can always contact our support team at support@softneta.com or our integration team at integrations@softneta.com. So this would be all, and the word to Renata. I will stop sharing.
Thank you, Marius. I'll share my screen with the questions. So we got the questions before webinar and a lot of questions during. So let's try to answer them. First, please touch a fair bit on the modality worklist.
Yes, so actually it's not the first time when we get this this question about the worklist. So for sure, don't worry. We added it to our wish list for the next webinars, and we are planning to have it about worklist because it's quite broad topic. It's different scenarios for all these worklists. So we are working on it, and we see that there is the interest in such topics. So stay tuned and subscribe, share, like, and follow our news. And when we have it, we will announce it.
Yeah. Another one, recommendation for SSL terminated reverse proxy. First, are SSL terminated reverse proxies supported? Second, do you have software recommendations, for example, Nginx, Apache? And third, do you have any important or critical configuration tips?
Yes, so answering to all these three questions. So basically, yes, the reverse proxy is supported. And actually, if you are you would use or you are using MedDream PAX Premium, so it also actually runs on reverse proxy. It can have some additional configurations, and it is run on Apache. So all the reverse proxies are configured there in Apache configuration. But if you have only MedDream and MedDream Viewer and maybe other applications running, so of course you can use the reverse proxies, and I would say you can use Nginx, Apache, or whichever you are more used to. Maybe you have more experience in one of them, so you can use both of them. And for the important and critical configurations, so actually they are on, I think I already answered it in the slides, on 21 and 22 slides, where is the sections of security consideration, and the relevant IT security requirements, which are on the installation manual on page 84 and 89. And there is IT security measurements on the user manual on page 35. So I would really recommend to check these pages in the install and user manual. So there is plenty of these important configurations, including even the Apache configuration.
Okay, thank you. Next one, probably covered in manual or by testing it out, but I'm using the opportunity. So the questions would be questions about generating Softneta token v2 with token service, no accounts in use. Now generating tokens without permission tag works. Does it grant authorization default his permission to those tokens? Would setting the permission per token limit the access? Should you set permissions per token?
Yes, so it's very good questions, and also as I showed in one of my last slides, so you can set the permission when you are sending token, and yes, it would override the permissions which are in the application properties on this default his permission. So it would take the permissions from the token JSON structure which has been sent, and I would say if you have different level of users, so it would be good to send each permissions with the token. So each user level could have different capabilities, you know, because for some users maybe 3D is not needed, so you just do not allow to have this 3D or to have export and all other settings. So yes.
Okay, thank you. Another question is about partnership agent fee. So maybe I will answer. Please write your question about partnership and agent fees to our email info@softneta.com, because it is not related with technical issues, so we're not going to answer. And please specify what do you mean with this question. So next one, what about the documentation sources for rebranding, the help files, other user documents?
Yes, so this information about rebranding, which I told, so it is available in our softneta.com website, and in the installation manual, there is a section 9. Don't remember the page now, but you will find the section 9 on the installation manual, and there is a section for the rebranding with all the logotypes, all the these dimensions, recommended dimensions, where these logos are showed, and much more information you will find in this installation manual for the MedDream Viewer.
Yeah, I just want to add this to Peter that just contact our integration team or sales team, and we will provide source documents which you can change and rebrand it. So it's possible to get sources of the user manual which you can rebrand and use instead of ours.
Thank you, Artūras, for help. I want to introduce our colleague, Artūras Gruodis. He's head of integration department. So thank you for your help. Let's move to another question. Alongside Windows, please do share information on Linux platform as well when you share details recording later. The recording is going to be put on YouTube channel. So I'm going to share the link to the YouTube. So I don't use myself Linux, so I'm not sure, but I think it works on Linux also. Okay, next one. Instead of hard-coded branding colors, could you support adding the color as a hex value? That way I could set the color to match our own branding guidelines.
At the moment, it's not possible to do this because we compile this colors into our JavaScript. But I believe in not probably next version, but in we are analyzing this possibility, and it's in our roadmap to add possibility to have custom color.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Can the new 8.0.0 version be installed over a 7.9.0 version by the customer without direct support from Softneta, without risking losing the previous settings?
The important thing is you always need to backup the files and copy them from 7.9 to 7 to 8.0. First of all, it's application properties, MedDream license file, and system and global JSON files. And rebranding files as well. If you copy these files, you should be able to install a new version without losing the settings. Important file system and global JSONs files, which are located in C's settings folder.
Thank you, Arturas. We are moving to our next page. How can the permissions be configured for different users? For example, one group of doctors should not have access to the patient history, but others should have it.
So here we have, I would say, two levels. The first level, you can control permissions by setting
Arturas, we can hear you.
We lost Arturas. Well, maybe Arturas comes back. Basically, it could be done using the token integration. So if you would pass this permission parameters for the patient history, then you simply know which doctors who logins to your system has the possibility to view history, which not. So you can send different token requests with the patient history or without the patient history permission. And not sure about the second part. Arturas wanted to tell. Maybe he will come back.
I think maybe he will come back. I offer to move on to the next question, and then Arturas will connect us because it's related with technical some problems. Is it possible to redirect user automatically from HTTP to HTTPS?
Yes, it is possible. I would say it's best to do this on the web server level. So, for example, if you have Apache or Nginx running, so you forward all the traffic from HTTP to HTTPS.
Okay, thanks. Does the token integration? Oh, Arturas is back. Arturas, we lost you before, so could you please continue answering the first question?
Yep. I don't know when I lost the connection, but in principle, if you still have a specific question to this, please contact our integration team and we will help you. I explained about global JSON, that you can create a global JSON for each user group. And in global JSON, you can enable or disable menu items and buttons. And when sending a request to our token service, you can pass which global JSON you want to use for particular group of users.
Okay, thank you. We answered the next question while Arturas was without connection. So let's move on to the third one. Does the token integration also work with patient IDs instead of studies?
Yes, so it will work with the patient IDs, with the accession number, and with the study UID. So you can use any of them.
Arturas, do you want to add something?
No.
Okay, thanks. So for SSL, is it possible to use wildcard certificate?
Yes, it is possible if it is for all subdomains, let's say, and that MedDream subdomain is in the range. So yes, it is possible.
Okay, and I see this the last question. In the standalone MedDream application, is it possible to deactivate a user for a certain time after a few failed logins in order to counter possible hacking attempts.
As far as I know, it is not possible, and even if you are using, for example, a token integration or relay integration, so you would even want to disable this login window. So when the user, someone would try to open the login window, it would show the 403 error. So there would be no option to use the login window if the integration is used.
So to clarify, for login window, we don't have right now possibility to deactivate the user. So so this is a limitation of MedDream at the moment. And
Okay, thank you. And we got one more question. We just upgraded to version 8.0.0. Works great, but just one question on the work list. We used to tell which studies are viewed and which are not, but now everything is the same. Before it used to be shaded and unshaded. Is it there any setting that I need to enable? Do we know the answer?
I think it was. We need to verify this. Let's take into account, and we will ask our testing team to answer this.
Okay, so as Marius mentioned before, some questions, if we can't answer, we are going to put the answer later in this presentation, and we will send the presentation and with the recording, also the answers. Okay, so I think this is it for our training with the questions. So I want to thank for myself and remind that recording is going to be sent later in a few days. And also I would like to invite you to join us next week on the webinar about MedDream news. Our CEO Vytautas Baublys is going to host this meeting and demonstrate newest versions. And in this webinar, you can answer general questions and questions regarding newest version. So I want to thank also my colleagues, Marius and Artūras, for answering the question, for great presentation, for Artūras helping us. And let's see you next week.
Bye.